I have in my hand here this year's festival guide, and you can see it's the size of a small telephone directory, and like a lot of telephone directories it's got a little sort of colour-coded bit up in the corner for the different categories of show, and you can just see it's just show after show after show after show. Here's our entry. You see title, just a few words to sell yourself and a few details as to which days it's on and so forth. Four rather small images there. I think one big image might have been better. And I'm pretty sure the director of the show didn't write toe-tapping finger pop jive. I don't think any Lindy Hopper would have written that. This is a farcically immense arts festival. It's the biggest in the world by some margin. There are about 460 venues putting on 3,000 and something shows. In fact, I suspect that no one knows exactly quite how many shows there are. So many shows are thrown together at the last minute as well. And people keep just popping up and putting stuff on. There's the Fringe, you understand, which is the fringe of the International Festival, but the Fringe Festival is now enormously bigger than the International Festival. The Fringe has been so established, it started in 1947, that it's become, well, a little bit not very fringy anymore. And you'll probably see that the biggest category is the purple category there. That's comedy, and it's dominated by stand-up comedians off the telly, and that's one of the things I don't like about the Edinburgh Fringe. One of those shows is so easy to do. It's just one bloke, one microphone. They usually don't even bother dressing up, and quite often if the guy's been on telly, it'll sell out, and that'll oust some other show that has been put together, written specially for the festival, and has a cast of 5 or 6 or 10 or whatever, and it has costumes and music, and so much more work and effort has gone into it, and those shows perhaps deserve more attention than they get.
You're entitled musical, a comedy about peeing. You might even wet yourself with laughter.
The city is so bustling, it's ridiculous. The entire centre of town is one of the attractions of the Fringe. Now, one of the things that makes the Edinburgh Fringe quite so wonderful, and what it is that it is completely uncensored. Now, you might think that surely people would demand censorship. I mean, anything could be shown, and goodness knows what the kids will end up seeing. But the simple fact is they don't censor it because it's impossible. With so many thousands of shows, many of which are thrown together at the last minute and many of which are improvised, even if you had 50 censors, you could not possibly watch all the shows here. So they just sort of throw in the towel, and there is no censorship at the Edinburgh Fringe. Another thing which makes the Fringe itself is that there are almost no auditions for anything. If you want to put on a show here, you just can. All you have to do is pay your fee at the right time to the Fringe office, and they'll stick you in the programme, and then hey presto, you're part of the Fringe. But your show could of course be absolutely abysmal, as many of the shows here are, because there are people who really haven't got it together and don't know what they're doing. A lot of vanity projects, an awful lot of people talking about themselves, particularly comedians, and that's part of the Fringe though. A lot of people quite relish the idea of seeing at least one truly awful show. It's part of the Fringe experience. If there's one thing I see on the poster that puts me off a show more than anything else, it's this. Totally improvised. Write a script. But perhaps you don't want to be an impresario, you don't want to have to go to all the bother of organising the lighting and the sound system and putting chairs in the venue and so forth. You want someone to do all that for you, so you could just book a slot in one of the established venues like the Pleasance or the Gilded Balloon, or in my case Augustine's with the company Paradise Green. And to convince them, I just sent them the script and wrote them a nice letter, and they seem to believe, well, this guy doesn't seem to be an utter imbecile, okay, we'll let him use our facilities as long as he pays us fair amount of money, and so that's what I did, and fortunately my show went fine, and they were actually congratulating me afterwards, but things could have been so different.
I am death, sir, the anthropomorphic personification of the idea of death.
Alright, do you speak in hollow capitals?
Indeed I do, sir.
I've always wanted to know what hollow capitals sound like.
All at the same time, as well as the International Festival, which is largely highbrow music concerts, there's the Telly Festival, and the Art Festival, and the Book Festival. And for those of you who like to watch marching, there's the Edinburgh Tattoo.
Hey Henry, look, it's a vertical flat surface. Oh, that's marvellous. Yeah, put a poster on it.
For sheer buzz, I don't think you can beat the Pleasance, which uses university buildings. There are lots of media folk here being media. And here are just some of the shows on at this multi-stage venue. Everyone wants to see shows that get at least 4-star reviews. The snag is there are so many people writing reviews that every show seems to get 4 stars from somebody, even if it's just some nutter on the interweb. Here at the Underbelly, do they have any 4-star reviews? Oh, Yes, it seems that they do. Ooh. No, wait. Look, there's one show here that doesn't have a 4-star review. It's unique. Perhaps I should see it.
A terrible dilemma here for the publiciser of a show. Do you put your posters at the top of one of these pillars, where they're almost certain not to be seen, but they will at least last quite a while, because who has a ladder to get up there and remove them? Or post over the top? Or do you put them at eye height, which is what most people do, so there's a huge bulge in the middle of this, and you can quite safely punch one of these and you really won't hurt yourself, unless you're very unlucky and hit a staple. But the trouble is, of course, that if you put a poster at this height, someone else is going to come along and put a poster over the top of yours very, very soon.
The streets are half blocked by performers exchanging flyers and promoting their shows in a variety of ways, some possibly counterproductive. There are plenty of buskers or street entertainers, and the best of them are very good. But I'm not much impressed by people who just paint themselves and stand still for a living. Except this guy. I watched him for about 20 minutes, not a twitch. Brilliant. Gave him a £5. The Indie Man!